away we go.
Ken, you thought there'd be a response, but that response is actually going to probably lead to more questions being asked.
Yeah, and
that happen?
that's reasonable, I think. I mean, we played really, really poorly today, and we were totally outplayed in all facets of the game, and there's no hiding from that. That's reality. It was disappointing to lose that way. It shows up to us that we know where we sit and where we're at, and we got another reminder today what the better teams can do.
Is it a deepening of the concerns that have been there, like forward movement, your forwards not being isolated, midfield gets worked over, but more importantly, you just get worked on the ground in defence? They're the big three for you at the moment. Every area's got a big one. I
think all phases of the game, particularly, were poor today. You can't sit there and say any part of the game was done well by us. But what we can see is clarity around the contest and around the stoppage losses that if we deliver on the numbers that we deliver on, and we have done that against these types of sides in the past, and it just goes to show that the separation is still where it was, and we've got to keep working at that. There's no magic solution for us. It's just keep working hard to turn that around and keep growing with that part of our game, because we keep getting reminded that it's not at the level it needs to be.
You said last week that they looked lethargic. How would you describe the effort?
It's 32 to 38 was sort of game on, but then when the gears got shifted by Brisbane and we were unable to go with them, we were quite reactive to what they were doing most of the day on the grass. We couldn't sustain their pressure and their effort to get to the ball, and that's what happens when the game gets away from you really quickly, and you could see that happen. Lethargic was not. I think we just looked second today. We looked second to the ball.
Have you got guys that wanted it a little bit too easy at the moment?
That are sorry?
Wanted it a little bit too easy at the moment?
Oh, no, results would say that as a team we're okay when it is a bit easier, but we haven't been able to be good enough when the level steps up. I don't know about the word easy, if that's the right word, but when the level steps up, we're unable to step up with it.
Dan Brogan said in commentary, started the third, I think that it felt like the boys were waving the white flag. You on the bench, did it feel like you gave up?
No, we clearly spoke about that even at three-quarter time. We can keep copping this, because when a team gets on top of you, it does easily look like give up. I don't think I would ever question the group around what they try to achieve out there. Sometimes it can look like the opposition are just way too good for you.
How about on such a big day for the football club, such an emphasis placed on the Oval team to put out a performance like that on that occasion? Is that extra disappointing?
Well, the most disappointing part is about this year for us, about that performance in this year. The reflection piece is a celebration of what's going on in our history, and we should be still mighty proud of what the 2004 team were able to achieve 20 years ago. It's still a celebration of that moment. Today is a real disappointing moment in 2024 season. It's not. They don't go hand in hand. I don't think. I think they represent themselves individually.
Given you just played the Giants of Brisbane and you're facing last year's final series, do you see an improvement in your side in the past 12 months?
No, I think we get absolute further clarity again. Carlton, GWS, and Brisbane, three of last year's prelim finals. It just shows they're better than us. They are better than us as we sit here today. It's like, clearly I'm not going to sit there and deny that that's the fact. What we can do about that is work towards trying to keep closing that gap, and we will keep trying to do that.
I think Kane said last week that players, it didn't look like the players wanted it enough after last week's result. What's your take on that comment, given what
Again, I don't hear. You might be surprised. I don't actually hear all the comments, because I get why. They're not a great thing for them to spend too much time on. But all I can assure people is that we work really hard. My playing group work really hard, and they don't. No one gives up. They sometimes look like they're off the pace when it comes to being able to play the game at the level that's asked of them. And today was one of them days.
What's concerning you most about your defence in particular?
Oh, I think we're exposing our defence too easily. From, if you look at the three games that we've just talked around, and previous history would suggest that when we lose the territory battle around the stoppage and the contest, not many defences can stand up when you've got that type of quality in front of the ball that Brisbane at times have. And they've been gaining great momentum. There's no doubt about that. But our defence pushed under that type of pressure. Today was too easy for, as I said before, all three areas of the game. They were all too easy beaten in for us, but we don't just necessarily rely or talk around one part of it as the major reason. I think there's parts in all parts of our game today that would look below par, but particularly around the contest.
Do you feel it's
was
going
under siege, the decision to take Brandon off at half-time?
Sorry?
Can you talk us through the decision to take Brandon off at half-time?
We weren't going to sit on our hands and let it continue to go the way it was going from a scoreboard point of view. We'd given up 80 points. We'd lost a lot of territory. We thought we needed to... We were facing a lot of balls coming into our defensive 50, so we needed to try and get a bit more ball movement coming back out of there that was a bit more composed coming out of there, which wasn't going on in the first quarter. So we looked to make some change to try and swing the momentum back our way a little bit if we could.
Can you feel it feels more challenging for you, particularly when you get that reaction from the crowd, which is rather personal towards you? Do you sense now this is going to become a harder job to do?
No, I don't think it becomes a harder job to do it. It's just part of what goes with this job. It's always been the same. It's, you know, the disappointment comes out in many different ways. No one's more disappointed than us inside the football club. No one. But I get the reaction. I've been around it for a long time.
So how are you going to deal with that now? Because it's going to be a question of whether the club keeps faith and confidence in you when they get that even hotter outside.
I'm going to turn up to work and work really hard with all my people, all my staff and all our players to make sure we can turn this around really quickly. Where we are right now, we've got an opportunity to go back to work straight away and change some of the narrative that we've earned.
Chris just said, post-game, he said the worst bit about winning today was that you were booed. What's that like in the stadium? You know, it shows you that sort of negative energy.
It's not fun. It's not what I enjoy. It's just what the reality is of my job. If you can't cope with it, you probably shouldn't be in my job. I can cope with it. I don't enjoy it, but it's not my favourite time. But my favourite time is watching my team play well.
Is it unfair?
No, well, I don't make the rules on unfair and fair. I work on what I can control, and that's my job inside the footy club.
Everyone's excited about the midfield possibilities that you had. In your mind, why isn't it achieving the results that everyone expected?
Oh, look, I think it's shown to be able to achieve it at certain times, but it hasn't been able to consistently achieve it. And I think there's a fair bit of... Look, it's a really hollow comment from me right now, but I think there's an enormous amount of upside in our midfield group. They are very, very young more often than not around the ball. And we have, you know, Jordan Sweet playing today, not a lot of AFL football. So we get that. It's not going to be absolutely super all the time. We get why people think that there's some excitement around our footy team in the midfield. We agree. But it's not always going to be as consistent as we'd like it to be. We would like it to be really consistent, like, you know, the Brisbane Lions have been over the last 4 or 5 years. We've shown that we're okay, but we're not. I've said this a few times. We're not one of the best teams in the comp. We sit below that. Everyone agrees. We have to keep working to change what our results have been to make sure they turn around and become what we need them to be.
Did Sweet fail a concussion test?
No, he passed the concussion test. We took him off. We came off and did a concussion test, but he's passed the concussion test.
How did you see that matchup today?
Well, I thought, like all parts of the game today, Brisbane had the better of that area of the game.
How about the illness? Was that bigger than we realised? Was there a number of players that were battling today?
No, well, no. We've had players who have been ill, but they weren't out there, so that helps. But it doesn't help when you're out there and you're under the pump.
And Willie this morning had a test, did he?
Yeah. We're just mindful of wasn't right. We weren't going to take a risk, so we didn't.
Just a word on Ollie's form at the moment. I noticed he only played 63% game time last week, and obviously had a lot of mates out there today, but didn't get a lot of it. How do you see him?
Oh, he's like the team. There's no one. There's not. I don't want to make it about an individual because the team collectively is not going great at the moment. That's clear for everyone to see, and with that comes individual drop-offs for everyone out there almost. So what you do see from individuals, you see it gets really hard to be at your best if the team's not. And Ollie's no different to the other players that are out there trying.
So his wish to play contested footy inside, does he then deserve more time at the heat of the contest?
Oh no, he
seems to be getting less in that.
He's getting time, and our midfield are getting time together. So not Ollie, our midfield are getting time together. But when the numbers go badly against you, we ain't going to sit there and just let it continue to go as badly against you. We're going to try to make some adjustments. E.g., Bergman goes inside and plays, and plays as a bigger body mid. Narkle gets a little bit of time. We do some things around there that if you look at when the team plays really well, you'll find those numbers are around the ball. Those percentages are really high. If you look at them when we've been beaten by, I don't know, what was 70, 80 points, you should expect those numbers to be low because we're not winning the ball around there.
Butters in the shoulder, was that okay? Or?
Yeah, it's okay. It looks like a bit of a stinger on it. I mean, one of the good parts, he fought his way through the game and kept trying all day, Zach.
So you talk about the 8 in the midfield, I guess Cripps before the bye, Green and Kelly last week, and you look at Dunkley and Neil today. Do you think maybe it just needs a bit more time? Maybe this isn't the year that we'll see the best of it?
No, I wouldn't say that. I certainly wouldn't say that because I know at their best they can cause any team some significant issues. I'm not going to sit here and surrender. I won't do that. I will sit here and say that I expect the boys to get better and that with the right support they will continue to get better. And I know their best can match it with teams, but we haven't been able to do that in the last 3 weeks. We've been poor in the last 3 weeks. We haven't been poor all year, but we're having a patch of football right now that is hard for people at the moment to view it too positively. I get it.
Just a word on Logan. Just a word on Logan Evans.
I thought it was real positive. Yeah, I thought it was real positive to see a bloke who's only been drafted a couple of weeks ago, a young fellow who missed his draft year, come in and play with some... That's what we've seen and we liked through the pre-season a little bit, to be honest. I think he shows he's got a pretty bright future as an AFL player.